For those of you that love to get started early with your fall crafting, I've got a great video planned for you today, and if you stick around until the end, I've also got a surprise. This was the coconut that you can get at the Dollar Tree during summertime. They're still selling them, and this is like literally one of my most popular crafts here on YouTube. Oh wait, I should rephrase. It's one of my most popular fall crafts, so I thought it'd be fun to share. And I have wine corks, and I have no idea how or why it just slowly accumulated, but over 10 years, I always kept wine corks. I don't even drink. It was literally from people coming over during the holidays and bringing wine with them or whatever. I kept them, and I ended up with a lot of them. So I had an idea that I wanted to do with this little coconut, and I ended up painting it with brown acrylic paint. That's not chalk paint. That was just brown acrylic paint. And then I take a utility knife. This is the Dollar Tree utility knife. And I'm just slicing the corks as thin as I can. And I also collect acorn tops. I have no idea why I did that either, but I thought it was so neat. But look at how it looks up close. You can see it's really bumpy and kind of, it doesn't really have any smooth areas. It's just all lots of crevices, lots of lumps. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use the wine corks to try and imitate that. So I just take some hot glue and I start gluing them on top of the coconut. So when you see this at Dollar Tree, it's like a coconut drink with a straw. This is the lid part of it. And when you get to the top, you do have to tuck the wine cork underneath a top one, or it won't work at the top. It's just the way they lay. You'll just keep. This is definitely, like most crafts, kind of you do it by eye. So as you're going along, I ended up doing like 4 sections going up and then doing one in the middle and then going around the side. And sometimes I did have to cut the corks. You can see I have some half pieces there on the tray next to me. I'm actually crafting on a tile from Home Depot because at the time they didn't have the silicone mats yet and the hot glue didn't stick. So I used a tile. And I use the thinner pieces to go on top and little pieces in between. I'm showing you right there just to cover any spaces the best I could. And you know what? You're just basically making it look like those nooks and crannies that were all over the real acorn top. So that's what I did. And then for the bottom part, I ended up taking sisal rope and covering it because the bottom of the cup is flat. And of course, in order to make an acorn, you kind of have to have that bottom that looks more like an Easter egg bottom, a little bit, right? So the way I do this is I just keep hot gluing, and when I get here, you'll see I don't actually glue the sisal rope onto the bottom of this. I start gluing it onto itself, and then I slowly move towards the center. So as I'm gluing, I just go smaller and smaller on purpose. See how I'm doing it right there? You're literally making the shape yourself with the sisal rope. And you could use twine or nautical rope for this. The Dollar Tree sells that really pretty big, thick nautical rope that's brown that would also look pretty for this. I just thought the sisal rope was fun. And I just did it all the way to the bottom and then glued it into kind of a point, not a really sharp point because acorns don't have sharp points either, but just kind of a gradual point. And then I took the Dollar Tree lighter and just singed off all the little hairs. And you could make this with nautical rope. You could make it with twine. It would all look good. I just really love sisal rope because it's natural. It kind of smells like hay, and I feel like it's kind of like a fall thing. I say that a lot on my channel, but it's true. And I don't mind if it singes a little bit. I think it's a neat thing to work with. And you can get it at Walmart really cheap for those of you that are curious. So now I'm just taking some brown paint and I'm kind of dry brushing, and I didn't do it solid, as you can see, because I did try to imitate the way the acorn top looked, and again, dimension. And then I took some scrap wood and I did the same thing. I just took the rest of the brown paint and kind of dry brushed the base. And I lived by the ocean at the time, so I had a piece of driftwood that I thought looked really cool with this, and I used that for the stem. You can actually make your own driftwood by soaking wood in diluted bleach water. You get like the oldest wood you can find where the bark's kind of hanging off, and you soak it in the water and it will come up just like driftwood. I've seen somebody do it. You could probably use AI now or Google to find out exactly how to do it, but I know you can make it. And then I glued a maple leaf from another Dollar Tree item onto it for embellishment. and a raffia bow. I know some people came on like, why did you use a maple leaf? You should have used an oak leaf. At the time, I just wanted fall embellishment, but if you have an oak leaf, that would look really good too. And then I glued it on the base, kind of tilting it to the side ever so subtly. See that tilt? It's just a little bit of a tilt there. And boy, this came up so elegant. It was stunning in person. I'm not kidding you. It was like heavy and beefy from the sisal rope and the cork. Really nice decor piece. Probably one of my more recreated crafts. If you go on my Pinterest under subscriber crafts, you'll see how many people recreated it in their versions. You'll get more ideas and more inspiration, but I encourage you to try it. And of course, I would love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Very excited to share this one with you too. I found this tea light holder at the Dollar Tree. They were selling these at the time, and this glass vase. And I just popped the tea light little glass out. It was glued, but if you were just kind of gently applying pressure, it popped out. And at the time I was scared I was going to crack it, but I thought, oh well, if it breaks, it breaks. I was a woman on a mission, so I was after that metal piece, because I wanted to tuck the little glass vase inside the middle piece. After you have that, you're going to need a big can and a mayonnaise lid. This was boneless chicken breast. I just cleaned my cans by putting them through the dishwasher, and then I spray them with bleach and let them dry out in the sun. And that always does the trick, even for tuna cans, you guys. That will get rid of the smell. The sun is a great deodorizer. It's really good for that. So these cans just smelled like metal, and I painted everything with a latex paint. This was like a Home Depot regular latex paint that you buy for painting, like the big gallons of paint, like regular house paint. It wasn't cheap crafting paint, and it had primer in it, and it did a really good job sticking onto the metal. So I was giving everything one coat of that, and then I set it aside to dry. Then I grabbed the glass part of the tea light, which I was glad it didn't break, but if it had, I would have found something else for this part. But I gave that a coat of black paint as well. So here you will see me trace out 3 circles of cardboard and glue the towering blocks in between them. So here's what I would do differently with this craft. And so if you recreate this craft, and you can with different versions, you don't actually have to have that metal piece. You can do it without the metal piece. You can use electrical tape to create those designs on your glass as well. If you buy a glass vase from Dollar Tree, if you take your time, I've seen that done before. I would not use an empty tuna can. I would use a full one, full of tuna, and just leave it. I mean, if the food does break through the can one day, I'll probably be like maybe 95 or so. I don't know. I don't think it's an immediate danger, and fashions change. Maybe I won't even want this anymore, but I would do that differently if I did it again, because the cardboard did work, but it would have been, the reason I had to put the cardboard in there is because I needed 2 solid sides of that can. So it would have just been easier to go buy a cheap can of tuna at the Dollar Tree and then leave it closed. Then I took the mayonnaise lid and I used super glue, and I glued it on top of the chicken can. This is the biggest can. And I used a little hot glue, of course, to hold everything in place. And I remember I accidentally turned my camera off for the next part, but I did glue the black tea light glass that I painted on top of the tuna can. And then I glued this part down with a little bit of super glue and hot glue on top of the mayonnaise lid. So see how it's already glued down? I'm holding it in my left hand. I lost that. Sorry about that, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And lastly, I took some of the metallic paint by Folk Art. You get it at Walmart. And I just dry brushed it all over the lantern because I did want this to look like a farmhouse lantern. It actually came up so good. And I would say at that time, this was fashionable all year round. And it certainly is still if you have your house in like a country theme or anything like that. Lanterns are always charming. So I think they go with a lot of different decor, sometimes even modern. It just depends what's around it. But definitely is hot still for fall and autumn. It's a great DIY. And you don't have to have that metal piece. Like I said, you can do this, just be creative and have fun. There are so many shapes and materials that you can use. I have seen people recreate this lantern after I made it without the black metal thing around it, just with the lantern and the lid. It still looked just as good. So have fun with it, but it is a great piece for autumn to be sure. After that, I took the tea light from Dollar Tree and I started sponging some brown paint on. And this was in the days before they introduced their black tea lights and all the different tea lights they have now. So you had to like paint it darker if you wanted it to be darker. I just felt like the white was a little bit too stark. And I put a little bit of, I believe this is the Excelsior grass. I put a little bit down inside and cut it up. And then I laid my tea light inside after I sprayed it with hairspray just to kind of prevent it from chipping. And this was the final result. Again, I think it came up so beautiful for what it's made out of. I just think this is such an awesome project, especially for fall coming up and for those of you that like to get started early. I was looking around online for autumn decor that appealed to me and I came across those, so I wanted to dupe it, but I didn't want the box version of it. So I decided to take these Dollar Tree boxes right here and do my own version. So I started off with painting them all white because I knew that would give me a blank slate that would create like the brightest, truest colors for the final finish. And after they dried, I started doing my thing. I took some orange paint that I had diluted a little bit with white paint to make it softer. And then I was looking at the photo there, I'm trying to copy it. And then I was just kind of concentrating on the center of the boxes on one side where the words were going to go, just to, get the look. So I went with this wood stain. It was actually a water-based stain. So for what it's worth, you could do this with a paint. These stains or wax. It was a nice product though, I have to admit. I used the wax because I think the wax goes a little bit farther than this. And I switched, but this was a really nice, it was slippery. The glide factor was just great. And it kind of gave, like, as you can see, if you use the right brush, it just gave an easy wood grain finish with little to almost zero effort. But wax does the same, you guys. So if you have wax, you can use that, the antique wax. I'm talking about that one. And you can use any kind of antique wax you want. There's several companies that offer the antique wax. I do have both products listed down in my description box in case you have a preference, both the wax and the water-based stained. Honestly, I was thinking about it while I'm doing this voiceover. I think the reason I stopped using the stain on a day-to-day basis is because I thought I might be developing an allergy to it. Even though it's odorless, I think my skin was kind of like getting irritated or something, and the wax had no effect on me whatsoever. So I leaned into the wax. And then instead of dry brushing with white paint on the edge, which is what I was going to do, I started taking a wet sponge and wiping it away. Because I thought, you know what, that's going to look probably even better. And I just had to lighten the center a little bit, definitely, because the words were going to go on here. And of course, I am looking at the photo the entire time. For the orange one, I went with the dark frame, where I kind of put a little bit of brown on the ends there, and then a little bit of brown around the bottom. And when the brush was kind of messing it up because it was too thick, I did a sponge. This was just a makeup sponge, and it was really effective at getting the look. So you could use sponges, or I think even a rag would have done this too. Just anything you have on hand that doesn't leave brush strokes and you can use for a quick stain would work. This next one I left white, and it had like wood stain around the edges. So you can see I'm taking the wet sponge, I'm taking the sponge that has the stain on it, and I'm just kind of alternating it, looking at the picture, alternating. Made a boo-boo, wiped it off. Wasn't getting the look that I want. And by the way, people will go, oh, this is a lot of work. This is for people who love crafting. I also have videos that go really fast where you can get just really beautiful home decor, my 5-minute DIYs, and spit it out really quick because I know people are busy too. And that's also something that people like to see. But for those of you that actually love crafting and just love to take your time, these are the kind of projects that are a lot of fun. So I'm using just painter pens here and Sharpies. And I actually took computer paper and put it right up to my computer screen and traced right off of the screen the words here to get them as close as I could. mostly because I knew it would be really hard to try and print them up the right size. I'm just not good at that either, trying to figure out the print. So I thought, well, if I just like enlarge it on my computer screen, I'll know it's the right size. I literally held the box up and like put it up against the computer screen to make sure it was going to fit. But I didn't have a free printable at the time because of that. And I have since then created one for you for those of you that want to create this DIY, and it will be down below the video. These are the Dollar Tree pumpkins that they still sell to this day. They always have these neat little picks, and I painted them white and then just dry brushed them with a bit of green paint, and I mixed that. That was like a custom green paint. And then what I did with this was I ended up gluing two together and then one on top, because I actually wanted to make a centerpiece for a table. Remember I said in the beginning I didn't want to make a box because I just felt like after all that work, it should be more magnificent. You know, I just didn't want this small box. So I went for this, and then I took pool noodles at the time. I just cut them open and put them in, gluing them down like that. And I remember someone actually came on and said, that looks almost like a jewelry box. You know how you have like the foam little rigid, you know, you can see it right there, where it looks like you can put rings and bracelets and stuff. I go, oh my gosh, it does. And then shortly after, people started taking these boxes or Dollar Tree curlers and all kinds of different foam stuff to make a place where you could put jewelry. So I don't know if this spun off an idea, because up until that point I had never seen that before, but that is a great idea. And it does look like a jewelry box. It does. So I went ahead and covered this with moss to camouflage it, and then just started putting some really pretty florals in it. And it ended up being an absolutely gorgeous centerpiece during the autumn season. You could also put it on a console table. That would be really pretty too. I will say the person I gave it to used it as the centerpiece for a table. I would have put words, you know, the words that I did, I would have done it on both sides if I had known they were going to do that. Because I was thinking more console table, but either way, I just think this came up so cute, and you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. This next one, also one of my favorites. I used to print from the Dollar Tree calendar at the time. It was going viral, this calendar. Everybody was after it. And I chose the apple theme because I felt like my decor was missing that. Everyone was doing pumpkins, and I thought it would be, even I was doing pumpkins, and I just thought it would be something different and nice for a change. And I went ahead and tore the edges of it just like that. And again, you can use any print you want. This was just one that was really hot. You know, Dollar Tree still comes out with really beautiful seasonal calendars. You should always go check it out because it's a very affordable way to get prints for sure. Now, the one problem that we did have when we were doing this is that often the numbers and squares from the calendar would go through the print if you used a really wet glue. And I got all kinds of tips back then from painting black paint on it, which I tried, but then it made the actual paper too dark because the black paint came through. And lucky for me, it didn't do it on this one here. I don't know why, but it didn't. But I found, honestly, back to the glue stick. It doesn't react at all or barely. And you can always seal it with the polyacrylic sprays or some kind of varnish. If you really want that Mod Podge look, seal it first. Get that little thin sheet of plastic over it. And then you can go to town with the Mod Podge and it won't wrinkle. People iron too. You could try ironing. I'm not sure what the result would be with this one. But I just used some scrap wood. You can see what I'm doing here. And I used regular school glue to glue this down. I shaved it was actually wrinkling up a little bit, and I didn't mind because when I gave it a light sand, some of the raised wrinkles sanded off and it looked more like distress paint on the wood. So at the time, that worked out really well because that was the look. So I did end up sealing this with Mod Podge, as you can see. And here's what I would do differently. So after this dried, I wanted to make this a palette sign. So I grabbed these paint sticks. They were extra large paint sticks. And I used wood glue, which is a great strong bond from raw wood to raw wood. But I actually would stain or distress these paint sticks before I glued it on. because you'll see later when I do it, it doesn't show in the video, but what I am confessing now, here's my special edition. What I'm confessing to you guys now is I had distressed the edges of this sign beautifully with the black paint right here. And because I had to go in between and hit the paint sticks, I also kind of hit areas that I didn't really want to on the print. Now it worked out fine. It came up perfect. This is why I'm sharing this is one of my favorites, because it was chunky and heavy. It felt store-bought when I was done, even though I had just connected it with paint sticks. It still felt really heavy and nice. Beautifully displayed in my home. I still have it. Love this one. I just love that it's apples too. It's just something different, but that's what I would do differently. So if you attempt this project, do the distressing first, definitely for the back end. And you know what? You could do this with Dollar Tree signs too. It will look just as pretty. They have those little thinner wooden signs you can get, the rectangle ones, and I thought about that. You could make something like this with that. And I'm going to go ahead and create a printable very similar to this for you. So you will have a printable in case you want to recreate this, because I know it's a drag to watch and not be able to recreate things, but here it is, and I think it's beautiful. Oh, this was a really cute one and easy to make, which is why I included it in today's video. This was a Kirkland dupe, and it was easy to dupe and super expensive to buy at the time. I think it was close to $60 or above $60. Maybe it was heavier wood, it may have been, but still you could make the same thing at home. So I used shims and craft sticks and florals and that thankful sign. I'm not sure if you can buy that anymore. If you can't, you could print it up and put it on, or just skip it. You could put any fall sign on that you want. Dollar Tree does sell words for fall. I know they do. So you could just get something else and replace it. I don't think the one from Kirkland said thankful anyway. But I'm taking my craft sticks, and the two end ones you need to cut at an angle right there. And you're going to need 11 craft sticks all together. That's what I used. And then I just dotted each one with some glue. And I'm using craft sticks that I cut. You can see I'm holding it with my hand there so it doesn't move around. And that's how I'm going to hold them together, is with additional craft sticks in the back that you can't see. Next, I'm just cutting off the thin end of the shim, and because they're kind of angled, you see how they're like angled down? I just put them in opposite directions so that the thinner side was on one end, and the other end, opposite end, that's where I put the other thin side, and then it made a perfect flat hold, like a base. I was creating my base, and I used wood glue and hot glue. I took a bigger craft stick and I glued it on for the stem of the pumpkin, but you'll see what ends up happening. It's too short. I'm going to save you the suspense. I end up tearing it off and putting on another one. The Thanksgiving after this, I had it out and it just looked stupid, and so I ended up redoing it. I'm being honest here. This is actually so valuable when you do your crafts. If you know things didn't hold up, if you know you didn't do something right, to share it again, because people are still watching this DIY still to this day, that video. And I'm like, don't watch that one. You definitely need a taller stem. So I took white paint, and then I took just a light color. At the time, it was Territorial Beige from Apple Barrel Paint, but any brown color would work for this. And I'm just lightly dry brushing a little bit. It doesn't show up too well on the camera, but I'm giving it some shadow and some edging and just making it so it's not like a flat white, obviously. And then I paint my too short stem right there. It's even too thick. I just didn't care for the whole look. And that is watered down black paint with a little bit of brown in it, but hardly any brown. It was mostly black. And I stained my base with that. And then I used hot glue to glue my thankful sign down, right like that. As I'm saying, any of the words from Dollar Tree, they even sell wood ones now. I think I would go for a wood one now. That would look even better. I think I would even make this with paint sticks, to be honest. Maybe I will. I might make this with paint sticks again. That would be so fun. And I just used one of the towering blocks to hold it up in the back. And I think I needed 3 altogether because it was a little bit flimsy. probably because I use craft sticks, but you can hide the towering blocks behind the craft sticks, just so you know, so you do not see those from the front at all, and it worked out really well. And then I start putting little wire curly cubes on and a flower, and I decorate this thing, and by the time it's done, you can't see my stem. So I was like, are you kidding me? And I took a picture because I think I was late editing that week and I wanted to get the video out, but I could see it in the video, and one lady said the stem's too short, and I went, she's right, because once you put all the embellishment on, anyway, word from the wiser, I learned that you actually need to go a little higher with your stems than you think you do. And that's going to be the right height, because when you start decorating it with florals and bows and raffia, see that? You can't see the stem. So here's what I ended up putting on. I got a thicker piece of wood. This isn't even a craft stick. This is like a piece of wood from Home Depot. I think it was originally supposed to be a trim for the bottom of the stairs. And I end up putting it on, and I think it looks a lot better. But this is such an easy craft to make. And you could make it with craft sticks. You could even make it with bigger wood. You could absolutely make this with a garden fence. That would be so awesome, like on your front porch, a bigger DIY. But anyway, I had so much fun going over these and going over what I learned and what you can do to improve them, because they are timeless fall decor, still trending today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share the video. It really helps me here on YouTube. And to share your crafts, I would love to see them, and so would everybody else. Head on over to my Facebook page. It's a totally different vibe. As you can see, we're vibing a little different because it's a different layout. It allows me to do some more personal things with you that YouTube doesn't. But here's some of the things that I share there. I share different craft ideas. I just made some beautiful free fall tags that I'm giving away on there as well. That is, again, I can't really share here. It's just different. And you can share your crafts. That's the most important thing. It's very interactive. So head on over there, check it out. Get your free printables over there as well. Get some more inspiration for craft ideas. Make some new friends. Share your crafts with me and with others. I share it to my wall. Tag me. That's how it shows up on my wall. And thank you so much for watching, my friends. I really appreciate it. And I will see you soon in the next video.